I came to the cottage in 2006 when I was 10 years old. There was a few circumstances at home that saw that the school counsellor thought it would be good for me to come in for a week for a bit of respite. Again, as Dennis said, I came as a part of the Take a Break program. I was here for Monday to Friday. I was here for five days, and it was just then to get the respite from home, I guess. It was a bit tough. My journey to the cottage really started probably on January 9th, 2001. My family know this day fairly well. It's a day where most things changed for us, and luckily we've still got Jesse here sitting at the front here. For what seemed to be basically a normal afternoon, my then 2.5-year-old brother and myself, who I was 4.5 at the time, we were just sitting at the back, just playing around in the backyard. Mum's outside supervising us, and Mum ducked inside to go and take care of Beth, who was my sister, who still was sitting at the front. She was about 3 weeks old at the time. She had just been born home for Christmas the year before. So essentially, Mum went inside, and I was at the front of the shed thinking, okay, I'm just going to go find a toy or a book to play with and just enjoy myself. And I heard what I thought was crying outside the back of the shed. And me being curious larrikin that I was, I thought, well, let's go have a look and see what the fuss was about. And lo and behold, I found my brother hanging on the side of Dad's boat at the back of the shed. So obviously I didn't realise the predicament he was in. He had no oxygen for about 5 or 6 minutes, and he wasn't exactly with us. So I tried to lift him up and just calmly and curiously walked inside and simply said to Mum, Mum, Jesse's stuck, can you go and help him? So following all of that, my memory's a little bit vague, and there's just 3 real snippets in time really. It was Mum being on the phone to Dad, who was sitting there as well, Jesse's dead, come home. Mum resuscitated Jesse, luckily he's sitting at the front here. Beautiful, who you are. And yeah, so there was my grandfather holding me back while they were dragging me to the ambulance, and then there was the last memory of me standing on the front porch while Dad was getting into the ambulance, and me basically saying, Dad, can you bring him home? Well, I was having no one to play with. So Jess, you're a great young man. We did lose a version of you that day, but we've got one that I wouldn't change it for the world. So you keep being you. So the catalyst basically for me coming to the cottage in 2006 was the separation of my parents. They were both been unbelievable enough to come back together today and come and support me, so thank you too. It was about January, February of that year when my parents came into the lounge room and told me that they would no longer be together, that they were going to sort things out and that they were going to have live in 2 separate houses. I was just wrapped. It was going to be 2 Christmases and 2 separate houses. It's good. The one memory I take from the day actually, and it was the first of many times my mother turned the cricket off on me on the TV, so I was more annoyed about that than anything else. So amongst all the changes I had going on at home, things were pretty volatile. My sister was very, very young. She was about 6 at the time. Jesse was 8 and I was 10, and they thought that I was at a lot of risk of going one way or the other at that point in time. So they decided that I would come to the cottage here. So I spent, I guess the cottage as a concept for me was given as like it was a holiday. It was a bit of respite. It was a bit of time away from home. What that meant for me later on, I didn't really anticipate. It was just sort of 5 days of respite, 5 days of care, which the volunteers at the time who were working there were unbelievable. They provided a home for 5 days, and I really thank you guys for that. In my week here, we did heaps of things. We went to the Point Lonsdale Lighthouse, went to the beach, went to the pool, splayed out some grass out in the back room. I'm first of the board members were getting acquainted this morning. And yeah, just played around in the playground and just had 5 days off of good food, good hospitality. My most vivid memory of the cottage actually wasn't anything in particular. It was just me sitting on the bus with a group of the kids while we were travelling either to or from one of the activities. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with James Blunt's music and the demographic. James Blunt is a good singer. One of his songs came out in probably 2005, 2006. It was called Wise Men, and we were sitting on the bus and it was just a group of kids all just singing the song and just enjoying the song, just getting around and having a good time. I guess I remember this purely because it was probably the first time that I actually really felt like I'd been integrated with the Sunman, like I really belonged to people, understood what I was going through, like kids around me, all that stuff going on as well, and I knew that. I guess that's probably what really helped in everything, is I felt integrated and felt like I belonged in that. Because when I was at home, things at school and stuff, people really didn't understand what I was sort of going through, and you kind of felt a bit disconnected. So that was probably the first memory that the cottage really had a big impact on me. It was my first real feeling of integration. So since the cottage, I've had the absolute privilege of being able to study my passion, which is medicine. Anyone who's known me well enough or long enough has known that I've always wanted to do this. I was walking around at 5 or 6 years old, sort of maybe the talent people, that's all I wanted to do. So now I'm here, which is happy. It's not to study medicine for the prestige or the title or the perceived monetary benefit that you get out of everything. It is purely just to give back to people in the best way that I see possible for me, and that is my personality is open, just a curious person who always wants answers. I always want a reason for something. So medicine fit that, and medicine also fit the bill of being able to go back and help people where I could. So it just felt like it was the opportune time. And also the miracle workers that have supported Jess and our entire family over my entire life is just something I just admire these people. So I'll be able to give back as much as they have.